He's Mexican and she's black.
LGBTQ.
They're gay.
Wait, she's trans, there's a difference. We had a whole assembly about it.
Oh, you're right.
LGBTQIAAP. We love gymnastics. With Alex and Michaela, and Shayna, and Nisha, and sometimes Oscar.
Hi.
We love gymnastics.
Yes, we can hear you.
God. Beam me up, Scotty. Please. I am so sorry. It's just crazy.
No, I know. It technology is crazy. It just and it doesn't get easier after this. I know it won't.
Yeah. Now my dog is now gonna start chiming in.
Oh,
He's
I
down
have a
there-
St. Bernard who was right here earlier.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
No, because he's down there going. I'm like, yes, it's a gremlin. There's a gremlin in here, and I have no idea how to get it out.
And I have Cujo, so it's okay. You know, it happens.
What
happens.
kind of dog is Cujo?
A St. Bernard. He's a St. Bernard. Klaus, come here.
Oh
here.
my
Come
God.
here.
Look, just like Beethoven.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
he's just like Beethoven. Yeah, come here.
oh,
Yeah, come on.
sweet. Oh
He's
my
huge.
God.
He's huge. He's huge. Okay, get up. Get up. I love you
I
so much.
see that.
Okay, son. Okay, son. Oh my gosh. Okay, son. I love you
Okay,
so much.
that's enough now.
Yeah, that's enough for now. My gosh.
So
Anyway,
sweet.
ladies and gentlemen, this is Kathy Johnson-Clarke,
Happy Johnson-Clarke.
the icon,
The
legend.
icon, the legend, the hero, the voice of gymnastics for us for our lifetime. Kathy, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I just want to, first of all, before we even start, I like to do this segment of try to make people cry.
She
So
does.
I'm going to tell you how much you have impacted my personal life throughout my 44 years of life. Ever since my first time watching gymnastics was 1992. I was watching Dominique Dawes' Flirting, and I fell in love with the sport from that point on. And all of the highlights I remember, the 1993 World Championships. It was your voice that I remember. The 1994 World Championships, the 1995 World Championships, the 1996 World Championships, so on and so forth. It's like your voice is so tied to my connection to the love of this sport. And like, I watch other people commentate. I hear other people, but there's just nobody else that I hear when I think of gymnastics other than your voice. It's just perfection. The way you analyze things is just perfection. And then when I got to be older and I got to go back in time and watch you and watch your progression as a gymnast and see how your story led you into being the great commentator it was, it's just such an inspiration to me as a human being, because always in life, people were telling you were not good enough to do this and not good enough to do this. And you've always overcome that in the most graceful and the most elegant way. And you've never left no stone unturned. You never burned bridges. You just were yourself. And that is just so special to us as the fans. That is so special to me as an individual. Just having you on the show. I told Addis before, you're the biggest person in my opinion that we've had on this show. I thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful time talking to us.
I think I died and just went to heaven. Like, I don't even know what to say to that, except that, you know what it is? It's a heart-to-heart connection. And when you're somebody who wears your heart on their sleeve, which I do, I can't help it. I'm also, my heart is like my engine, the everything. It's a computer, the engine, it's everything. The car won't drive without my heart. When I talk about gymnastics, obviously I love the sport, always have. And I'm reminded of when I was a little girl, maybe this is just who I've always been. It's like I'm the little girl who runs downstairs to see what she got for Christmas. and there's a pile of horse manure there, all over. And I, with joy and just utter delight, go digging through it, digging through it, digging through it. And everybody's watching, like, what is she doing? And I was like, with all this horse manure here, there has to be a pony. Always looking for the pony.
And we always heard that in your gymnastics commentation. You were never nasty. You were never rude. You were never cruel. You were just called the things as it were. And it was joyful. You made gymnastics joyful. You made loving the sport easier from the way you explained the stories. And I remember it was this documentary that you and Bart Carner did, like gymnastics superstars of
yes.
two.
Yeah.
I've watched that tape so much that it literally broke. Like the way you told the history of gymnastics just made me fall in love with the sport even deeper. And I was just so grateful every time you were one of the ones to commentate. Like back in those days, we didn't know who was good. We just knew when it was coming on TV, whoever was there, who was there. Like, and every time you were there, it was just joyful. It was my favorite competition ever is the 1994 Goodwill Games, and it's because of you. You made that competition extra special, extra special.
I loved all of those meets. I loved my days with ABC Sports. Not that I didn't love all my days with ESPN and covering college gymnastics. I love covering college gymnastics. But those days with ABC Sports and with Bart, I mean, and that project in particular, Gymnastics Greatest Stars, was so much, it was such an undertaking. I mean, kudos to the people who did the editing that put that show together. And then we just added our voice to it. Yes, we helped work with the dialogue, with what we said, but it was like traveling back in time, and also at the same time, almost looking into the future, because knowing this is the foundation of this sport that we're going to keep building on. And the sport is going to change. It's going to evolve. It's going to go through this winding path. And it always has. It always has. Back in our day, do you remember things used to switch back and forth between the artist and the acrobat? We talk about that. All of the crazy difficulty, because when you want to be a gymnast, especially back in my day, you were most likely a daring little human that was looking to do anything you could to scare the living crap out of your parents. Jumping off things, flying off things, flipping. I mean, I went through a French door in the living room, creating my floor routine when I was like 13 years old. And of course, instead of, I mean, obviously I can't tumble in the living room, but I can kind of tumble, a few back handsprings. And I was doing that in place of the tumbling because I needed to know how long that would take. And oh my God, I stepped through. And if you've seen French doors with a panel of glass, one foot went through the bottom pane of glass. The next foot went through, because I stepped out, went through the second one. And I'm like stuck there. I am in so much trouble. I have just broken the French doors in the living room. And everybody comes running in. Oh, they just want to know I'm alive. Cuts all over my legs that I had to wear Band-Aids at the competition. All these tiny little Band-Aids all over, but no stitches, no nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. But so you're a trickster at heart. You're a daredevil at heart. You are a risk taker at heart. The love of flying, the love of flipping, the love of just daring your body to go against gravity, to do as many flips and twists. And I look at some of the videos of my backyard gymnastics, and now as like a mother and as a sane person, I go, oh my God. There were no mats under the bars. I know it's crazy. I had bars, but They literally cost $100. That's
Oh wow.
parents got they stopped programs in schools back then. They stopped having them. So the local sporting goods person had a set of bars. After we had bought a beam, he got us the wood part of a beam. My dad's an engineer, so he dug huge holes, cemented, like put a steel post into the cement, made a little twisty thing that we could put the balance beam. An actual, they were wood back then. Yes, I'm that old. Wooden beam. I had a Nissan wooden beam in my backyard. And I will tell you this, it's I did step outs on that wood beam in my backyard.
Wow.
I've got a picture of it, legs bent and everything. But I just I chucked it on that wood beam when I was like 14 years old. So that was back in what, 74, 75, something like that.
That's crazy. Like,
And doing all this crap. So
I just love you so much.
You're the trickster. I was that kid. I was not the graceful dancer. I was the one who did not want to take ballet.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted acrobatics, but I had to take a little ballet so that I could do the acrobatics at Mrs. Dottie's Dance Academy in Indiana, Florida. There was no gym. There was no gymnastics gym in my hometown. I never knew about gymnastics. I saw it on the Olympics. The closest thing we had was this acrobatics. So I took that sort of. And then in 6th grade, I did a little show for the 6th grade at the end of the year and did chest rolls because I was really flexible. I was a cheerleader, and I did walkovers and back limbers and back walkovers and all this stuff. And the gymnastics coach from Hoover Junior High School was in the audience because one of my classmates was in the show too. And this was her daughter. So she comes up to me and says, well, when you come to Hoover, you should join the gymnastics team. And
that's how you started?
I went during the summer. I met my friend there. I walked into the gym at Hoover Junior High, and it was Coach Dettner and Mrs. Singer. And they brought me out on the floor. He taught me a back handspring first day. And this was where, if you've heard me tell the story of my final beam routine, what I said in my head. So when he taught me the back handspring, and he said, you can do it by yourself. And then he would hold on to my shirt because I didn't have a leotard at that time. It was just a shirt. And he twisted it up and he held it. And he says, so if you miss it, that leotard comes off, shirt. Like, no, he was joking, but I was like, okay. So I threw it. And then he says, okay, by yourself. And before I went, he went, do or die for Hoover Junior High. I did my first back handspring by myself, rode my bike home, was so afraid I'd forget how to do it before I got home. It was about a 1.5 mile ride. So I'd stop in everybody's yard and throw one. And then I'd ride, I'd ride, and I'd throw it. And I got home, did my back handspring for my family in the yard. And I was 12 years old, starting junior high school, my first experience in gymnastics. No idea that most people start much younger. As Nadia told me, bless her heart, when she goes, you didn't start till you were 12? You're done by 12. Well, that's what she said. You're almost done by 12. And she was 2 years out from competing at the Olympics in 1976, making history. And I'm just learning my back handspring in the yard.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why the do or die for
Hoover High.
That's what sticks with you. So back to the heart. I fell so deeply in love with this sport. I can't even explain well, yeah, I can to all gymnasts out there. They have felt this, where if I could have convinced my parents to turn my room into a gym, like just put mats in there, just, I don't need a bed, I don't need a desk, I don't need anything, just mats, anything that for me to do gymnastics. And then years later, if somebody, so my favorite gymnasts were the Soviet gymnasts. That
Mhm.
once I started, I started progressing really fast. Started, I got a gymnast magazine once a month, and then we got to see the Olympics and on TV. So the Soviets were my favorite gymnast. And once I started getting close and, made the national team, almost made the 76 Olympic team. That was my first year of elite, and I was playing catch up. Well, if somebody had said, you can move to the Soviet Union and train,
You can defect. You can defect.
my bags would have been packed so fast. I would have done anything to train with my idols, to come close to that level of gymnastics.
Kathy, I got a question while we're here. So you didn't start until you were 12, and then you won American Cup in 1977,
77.
correct?
Mhm.
How did you progress that fast in gymnastics? Because that is so, like, from
Insane.
nothing to American Cup champion in less than about 3 years. That
So
is
I'll try and do the timeline in a nutshell because it
okay.
extended. So I started at 12. The first year we just competed in like little local meets. I
Mhm.
remember my first meet was the hands and feet tumbling meet. That's what it was. And I won. You did tumbling pass. You had to
Period.
do a front pass, a back pass, and a mixed pass. And because I was a cheerleader too, so I was cheering, and I'd do round off and probably 25 back handsprings across a basketball floor, just rapid, rapid, rapid. I learned flips and stuff in my yard. Then I went to, because a coach, not a coach, the sporting goods guy.
Okay.
Sporting goods guy. Let me tell you, not only got my beam and my bars cheap for my parents, for them to give me, but he's the one who saw me do a backflip off a fence
Oh
at my
wow.
first baseball game. Okay. And he found my parents. This was before he ever got the bars and the beam and stuff. And he says, I have a friend who is a gymnastics coach in Atlanta, Georgia. His name is Fred Martinez. And Fred Martinez happened to be like a national champion on floor. And he has a summer camp. You should look into it, see if your daughter, because she looks like she's got talent. So I went to summer camp when I was probably 13, 14. Like, I'd been doing gymnastics about a year and a half, and went to this summer camp. And that's when I started hearing other people, oh, well, what level are you? I'm like, what? I compete in the hands and gymnastics meet or whatever. And these little local meets against the other junior high school. Like, we had Hoover Junior High School and Delora Junior High School. And so we'd compete. Then I heard about compulsories, which I called compulsoraries. Whatever. And they were beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Well, I was already, like, I could do some of the advanced stuff. So after going to this summer camp, which we had planned to go 1 week, that's what we could afford, my parents. My mom drove me up there. We stayed in a little Days Inn and went back and forth to the gym. And at the end of the week, the coach says, God, she's so talented. Can she stay another week? And my mom, she calls my dad and she says, gosh, she says she's so talented. She could be this. And, can she stay another week? I don't know if we can well, we just have to do it. That's what they said. We'll just do it. So I stayed another week. Well, then he asked, can she stay the third week? And I'm like, please, 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 please. And it's like, my mom needed to get back home. But this family let me stay with them, and I stayed 2 more weeks. Well,
Oh wow.
learned so many tricks in that summer camp. And not only that, here's what I will tell you. This coach, though he saw the talent and all I wanted to do was just learn more and more and more and more tricks, he stopped me
Mm.
me back in because all of my technique was nothing. Like I learned these things by myself. I did everything wrong, like everything wrong. I was just kind of a hacker, and tiny, like tiny. I don't think people realize I was 4'3" when I
Wow.
started junior high school.
Teensy.
4'3". Then I got up to 4'4" and 4'5". I was 4'6" when I started 10th grade, which is when I moved away from home to go train with this coach. After they taught me the compulsory routines. So you asked me how to go this fast. I did advanced compulsories, which is kind of like your level 10 now. So
Okay.
essentially that. 3 meets: state, regionals. I ended up qualifying from regionals, placing second to junior nationals out in Hayward, California.
Wow.
And I was like, so, and of course we have no idea what we're doing. And this coach can't travel to California with me. So my dad took me. My mom and dad took me, and my dad coached me on the floor. He knew absolutely nothing. I finished, I still have the score sheet. Okay.
That's so crazy.
Second to last, third to last, because we flew out the day before. I didn't even get used to the time zone. The meet was so long because they had 1 million people in there. Somehow the judges noticed me because I threw a full, like I was throwing all this stuff, and they're like, damn, she's good. Why? Who's her coach? Oh, well, he's not here. That's her dad, who wrote a protest. He actually protested one of my scores and wrote a protest.
Oh, wow.
Are you
And,
serious?
but anyways, there was a judge that came up and gave him a book on how to coach gymnastics. And he says, look, your daughter's got a lot of talent. She ought to get a really, Then I go back. My dad is driving me up once a month to train with them. And that's just not enough. Like I am learning skills that now I can't even do on the equipment at my little junior high school, because we had to have a floor. We had a wooden beam that it was probably from the 50s is my guess. 50, yeah, probably from the 50s, 60s. They were like these dark blue steel uprights, and so I did a handstand pirouette and then wrap. The bars literally jumped off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So driving up there once a month to train, the young family that was a young woman that was coaching at my gym there, where I was training once a month with the coach. She was only 23 or 24 years old at the time, newly married. She asked her husband, if her parents say yes, can she live with us so that she can train full time? Because this is 1975, and I just decided to go elite, because the elite compulsories were better for me. And the Olympics were like in 1976. And so my parents, in a moment of weakness, thank goodness, said, okay. And I moved away from home, which was unheard of back then, and lived with this family, went to school, and started training just like as hard as I could. And each competition leading up to the 76 Olympic trials, I got better and better, and just barely qualified for zone meet, national meet. Then we had a national championship, then a masters meet. I made it all the way to trials and all. Ended up tied for, I was 12th. There was a tie for 10, and they took 10 to the squad on the squad. So I just missed getting on the training squad, Olympic trials. But it was that fast. Like everything.
That's insane.
Literally that fast, I think. But I so expected to make that team, which was kind of absurd. Like in my little, and sadly, I could have, had I not,
been hindered by your lack of resources.
Yes. So like I literally had text errors in my compulsories. I was changing them in the warm-ups. Other people, nobody, like Jackie Fye, who became a very good friend of mine.
We love her.
Throughout my entire career, she said, it was a funny story. So the first day is back then. You think they're crazy now, like hard. The Olympic trials were 3 days.
Wow.
First day, hang on. Oh, it gets better.
First
Day
day was
one,
compulsories.
day one was compulsories in the morning, optionals in the evening. 8 events. Okay. Compulsory in the morning, optional in the evening. Then the next day was compulsories again, and the next day was optionals. And whoever was left standing made the 1976 Olympic team. So
Just mouth agape. What?
everybody else was like I was getting better each round until the last one I had an error on bars. But each competition, and my compulsories were dreadful. One, I was nervous. Two, we were told.
Just learned them.
Yes, I learned them. You know how I learned them? I drove up. I told this story to the University of Florida gymnastics team a few years ago. I was like, did you know I could have been on the Florida gymnastics team? Because one, the governor of Florida and what's his name? Somebody who was the AD of Florida after the 76 Olympic trial had offered me a spot on Florida gymnastics.
Oh, wow.
But prior to that, Sandy Phillips was the coach there. And my parents drove me up along with my coach, and she taught me the 76 compulsories in that gym, in their training gym at Florida. Because I lived I grew up in Florida and then moved to Atlanta to train. So I learned the compulsories from Sandy Phillips. And apparently everybody could tell. It's like, did Sandy Phillips, like you look like Sandy doing it? I was like, well, of course, I did it exactly the way she taught me.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was almost dead last, first day of compulsories, first round of compulsories. In optionals, I was like 6th or 7th.
Oh, wow.
Really strong. I can't remember exactly what place I was, but I jumped up to like 12th. And then next compulsories, I dropped back down to like 14th, and then I jumped back up because the next day, like if you had combined my optionals, I was top 6 or 7. So Jackie tells me, she goes, when the first round of optionals happened at the end of the meet, Jackie's like, was she here yesterday? Who is that? Who is this gymnast? And actually the coach, he wasn't the coach, Vanny Edwards was the assistant coach or the manager for the 76 Olympic team. I didn't know him at all. I just met him when I was at trials in an interesting way. By the way, sorry, it's a funny story, so you should hear it.
Go ahead.
I could hear you talk all day. Like, I'm not even going to interrupt you once. Go ahead.
So this is actually very funny. So I go to Olympic trials with this coach, Fred Martinez, who I loved him dearly, and he was brilliant as a biomechanical genius, like teaching gymnastics. I did a toe handstand on bar.
Wow.
People are like, because you know who taught it to me? You're going to know this name. Doug McGavin. Doug McGavin, who ended up coaching at Georgia for years and years.
Oh,
and
wow.
Years. Brilliant gymnast, 4-event gymnast who could have made an Olympic team. But back then you had to do all around, kind of like Ron Gallimore. So Ron Gallimore, phenomenal, almost didn't make the Olympic. He had to improve his weaker events to be able to make that team. Same thing with Doug McGavin. So he was brilliant on 4 events, had never done rings or P-bars, I think were the 2 events. So Fred Martinez was supposed to be coaching him. And meanwhile, Doug was coaching on the side, kind of like what I ended up doing. I coached my whole career. And anyways, he taught me toe hand on those big old fat bars.
The oval ones, they were oval.
Not from a hand, they're big old fat oval ones. And I did it like this fast. Whoa! And I just So I did some really cool skills, very advanced skills, which is what got everybody's attention. But my coach, love him to death, but he was lacked discipline, lacked,
Mm.
he was kind of like a big child, kind of like a toddler who just like, but funny. Everybody loved his jokes. So we warmed up. Then we all have to leave the floor for march in. And this is a big event. The Olympic trials were in Los Angeles. Okay.
Yeah.
In the LA, the sports arena. Huge thing. Los Angeles. I mean, do you know the stars, the actors that were in the stands? The people that we
Insane.
met were like, it was insane. And so there was just a bunch of hoopla going on, but it was a big event. And I remember I had warmed up bars, and for the finals, they had like a sellout, and they were going to have to put more chairs on the floor. We didn't know this. I did a mount on bars that somehow he let me train running like 7 or 8 steps. Okay. You can't run that far for a mount on beam.
No.
But I mean, had I been on a podium, there wouldn't have been room, but we didn't know. So I just ran. The jump half turn to high bar into a kick. Well, during warm-ups, he says, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll have him move these chairs." And I believed him.
Oh, wow.
Of course.
Not only did they not move those chairs, they added more.
More.
So all of a sudden I had to do my mount with like 2 or 3 steps, almost missed the mount. Okay. But prior to that, before walking out on the floor to march in, all the gymnasts were off the floor. All the coaches were off. All the judges were in the judges' room. We all marched in, played the national anthem, go to our first event. Mine was vault, to warm up. And I step up to warm up my vault, and my coach is not there.
Oh, wow.
And I look and I don't see him. So I step off the runway. Everybody goes. I step back on the runway. My coach is not there. I step off the runway. I literally have one more turn. Okay. And I step on the runway, and this person steps on because he's been watching this whole time. And he goes, "How many feet to set my board?" And I went, "Of my feet." 5 of my, however, they're like this bit, like this, but 5 of the, so he goes, "Oh, well." So he sets the board, and I ran into a vault, and it was good. And then in walks my coach. He came in with the judges. He had been in the judges' room. Oh, telling jokes, laughing with the judges. He had just missed the whole warm up.
Oh, wow.
Judges march in. My parents were up in the stands. They were pissed off. Like,
I'm sure.
I would be too.
anyways, it was Vanny Edwards who set my board for me. So
Mm.
flash forward, they actually, unbeknownst to me, all the coaching staff, they'd gotten together and said, "Look, why don't we just bring her to the trainings? What, like, not to compete, not to even have a chance of competing, just put her on the squad." Because with any kind of real training, which of course would not have been fair at all. So I'm glad it didn't happen. But the fact that they even considered it or talked about it back then was kind of cool. And anyways, he then wrote a letter to my parents to invite me to come to summer camp in Louisiana and possibly join the team there. So after the Olympic trials, I then went to Louisiana, did the camp, and ended up training there for 3 years. And it was that first year that I went and won the American Cup, the 1-year thing.
Wow.
In 1977. So, but 76 Olympic trials, I was in it. And if anybody has any video out there, I have never seen my gymnastics from that time.
Oh, wow.
We'll try to find it for you.
Okay. Yeah. Gymternet sleuths out there. See if anybody recorded anything. I think I want to see it. Maybe I don't, but.
Right. It'd be a time capsule of a different time.
It was it was a cool time. I'm so glad I did gymnastics in the 70s and 80s, but I wouldn't have changed anything. Would have been great had I started the sport earlier? Yes. Yeah. To take full advantage of my tiny, strong, athletic, like thinking of me back then, because one, I was a little, I played all the other sports. I had 4 brothers, so I was just and track. So track was my first. I was a sprinter. I did hurdles and long jump, even though I was teeny tiny. So I was very athletic. I would have loved to have seen what I could have done as a gymnast. And yet, I think everything happened the way it needed to happen, including a devastating injury that almost ended my career before it began. It was shortly after winning American Cup and then national champion. All these went from sky high to breaking and destroying my elbow. And it just literally changed the course of everything. Because one, I developed an eating disorder because it was in the air back then. Everybody was trying to be too thin, way too thin. So if you look back at my gymnastics in 1977 and 78, well, actually go back and look at 77 American Cup. That was the year I won. And I was strong and everything great. But a comment had been made by my coach that just sent me down a rabbit hole. Living away from home, cooking your own food, doing your own shopping, on $5 a week or whatever, so you get inexpensive things, peanut butter and whatever, to make your food. And he said to me, "You look like a balloon."
Wow.
And I go, and then if I didn't lose a few pounds, I wasn't going to go to American Cup or something. I was like, so I had never for 1 second thought anything about my weight, about anything about my body, nothing until that moment. And I can't tell you what it did in my brain. Like it just flipped something. I was horrified. And then I just started eating less and less and less. And I go back and I look at, it's like, damn, I would go back and get that body. First of all, but secondly, and I'm sharing this not because so many gymnasts have lived through this. So many athletes.
I developed an eating disorder, so I had bulimia. It almost ended my life. So I
went down that road too, because you're trying everything to be perfect, everything to be what you're supposed to be, to make your dream come true. And when I got way too thin and I came back from summer, having just learned right before I went home that summer, at summer camp, I learned to double back on floor this time. So it was right after 76 Olympic trials. And I just learned double twist right after Olympic trials. Then I learned to double back and I came back, but those few weeks I was home, I went on this mission of I'm going to come back.
Oh,
So thin and so the first thing he said when I walked in, and he took one look at me, he goes, you look fantastic. Are you still strong? And I was like, all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, now I look fantastic.
Oh.
I had a meet in just a few weeks against Romania, USA Romania, and I'm American Cup champion. I'm national champion. I'm all these things. And now I look fantastic. Okay. So I start training and he's excited to see my double back because I'd literally just done it by myself. And back then we didn't have pits. Okay. We had one above ground pit with a slanted, tumbling thing, that you could practice in. But then once you got out on the floor, it was just somebody spots you and then all of a sudden, okay, you can do it. Go for it.
Do or die.
Yeah. And I did it and I did it great. Well, so I come back and I warm up and I'm doing double backs on these floor, not a spring floor, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
No springs on this floor.
Yeah.
And he's spotting me with one of my favorite coaches of all time, Wade Jackson was his name. He's spotting me, and he knows good and well I'm not doing it by myself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the other coach, my head coach, Fanny, says, "Is she ready to do it by herself?" And both at the same time, I said yes. Wade says no. No.
Mm.
I said, "I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Like, I'll just go harder." I felt the pressure to, you know, prove to
Perform.
him,
Prove yourself.
well, and prove to me that I can look fantastic and be this thin and still be powerful and strong. Of course I can do it. Landed right on my head. Right on my head. Broke my neck, rushed me to the hospital, scared to death, thought. And
October. Yeah.
my chin had gone into my chest. I bruised and my sternum, but they were more worried about my neck. Did the x-rays. Was going to be fine, going to be sore, but I've got to meet in 2 weeks, USA, Romania, in New Orleans in the Superdome.
Oh,
And,
hell.
yeah. And I'm so excited for this meet because it's
Got to meet the moment. Like,
I mean, Romania, it's got Nadia, it's all of them. And I was I wanted to do well there. So they, this is awful. Took me to the doctor, gave me muscle relaxers.
Mm.
I did not know what a muscle relaxer is, whatever. So I'm taking them, and it made it feel good. But nobody told me do not take them and work out.
yeah.
Oh.
But it's machinery. It's like drive a car,
I know, but
not gymnastics.
to tell you, like, I had no idea. That doesn't sound a muscle like it's just relaxed. So I didn't. And you need to tell a gym, like, because I'm going to get in there and try. And so I was doing beam. Felt awful for what I did to my friend, my teammate, but I felt weird up on beam. And I did back then. It was back walk over layout, and then I did a side aerial back handspring.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like, this gym was like, had homemade mats and soft, mushy mats. It was what it was back in the 70s. Like, things were different. But I called her over. I said, "Come watch, look how high my layout is on beam," because I'm just like, oh, that looks great. And I do a routine. I get to the side aerial back handspring. I go side aerial, go to do the back handspring. My hands missed the beam. I fell straight down, but I couldn't get my legs down because I was on this side of the beam. I used to do back handspring with my hands like that, and fell onto the mat. Don't want to gross everybody out, but I broke my hand went back to it snapped backwards.
Yeah.
It was a traumatic, terrible, awful, broken, dislocated, traumatized the whole gym. I went into shock. We're 45 minutes away from any nearby hospital. So I have to get in the back of a van, and head coach wasn't there. Vanny wasn't there. One of the assistant coaches, this young guy named Blue, he was only 23. I feel so bad for him because he was like everybody was traumatized. And I'm getting in the van, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs.
Of course.
Screaming. Not so much that, like, yes, it hurt, but I was screaming because my world had just came crashing
You thought
down.
your dream was over.
Oh God, yes. Like, seriously over. And I'm screaming, why, God, why? They're trying to, like, just calm me down, get me into the van. But I had the good sense, thank goodness, to say, don't take me to the hospital. Because back then, we knew gymnasts who dislocated their elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, they cast it.
Atrophy.
Gymnasts never got their arms straight again.
Straight again, yeah.
It would atrophy.
Okay. Yeah, it would lock up. So you never had your full range of motion. And I literally knew somebody that had dislocated their elbow and never got their arm straight again. So as we're driving, I said, don't take me to the hospital. Take me to Dr. Bundrick. He's a great doctor. He was the one I'd gone to earlier, but he was like the Steelers, like he was a top-notch orthopedic surgeon. They took me to that office, and that's when they put it back in place, but before they had x-rayed it, and I'd knocked a big chunk of bone off, unfortunately.
Oh.
This, and I had my nerve, my ulnar nerve, your funny bone, I had just shredded it because it came off with the bone. So they had to do surgery. And here's the good news. There is good news in this. The surgeon was phenomenal. He had read about this procedure. He had never done it, but he'd read about it, of some Swedish procedure. They would put the bone back in place and put screws in, but plastic screws, not metal, plastic screws, cast it for only 5 days. They took the cast off, then just gave me a temporary one that I would take on and off. Started therapy. I had to move my arm every hour for 15 minutes. My mom came up through the night. She would set the alarm, get up, take that removable cast off, and oh, my arm looked awful too. It was like, you don't want to see an arm that has been broken, dislocated, and surgery with a cast off 5 days later. You don't want to see. And the therapist, he was very funny. When I went into his office for him to start, come up with a plan, like, what are we going to do so you could possibly do gymnastics again? And because they knew the odds of me getting everything back were slim. And so they took it off, and I turned my head this way and I wouldn't look at it.
Right.
He goes, all right, chicken, look at it.
Like,
nope. It's not my arm. And he goes, you got to face it. I just look at it, because we're going to get it better. We're going to, like you and me, we're going to do this. I was like, almost passed out. Like, my arm had already atrophied. My elbow was like this big. It was every color in the rainbow, and then skinny here. And then my hand was like this big. It was dreadful. But this unorthodox surgery, the physical therapy, 4 months later, literally 4 months later, which was when I learned that I had clearly cracked my sternum on that fall. The 2 weeks before, or the week before, when I hurt my neck, remember that one? And then the elbow, I'd almost forgotten about the neck one. I had a chin mark in my chest, and I'd clearly like cracked or something, because I did a kip on this arm, but 4 months later, I was able to compete. I won national championships. I still don't have feeling in these two fingers from.
Oh, wow.
Because they had to move my ulnar nerve, and which is good, but it sits right here. So nobody can touch my elbow. I can't put my arms down like this because my nerve is right there. And these two fingers are just kind of numb. So I had to just learn how to work bars again without really feeling.
That's insane.
It actually is, because I feel like I'm not that person. It's like that was another just life that I happen to know this person's history really well. But
I understand.
Yeah.
Then after that happened, you became one of the first American gymnasts to win an individual medal at World Championships on floor exercise. What was that like? What was that like at Worlds? What was that like being one of the first? In my opinion, you were the first. It was between you and Julianne McNamara, like, who brung USA Gymnastics to where it is. Yeah, because like
there were so many of us in that time period. It was a phenomenal time. If you look at our 1979, so 1978, to answer your question, what did that feel like? So one of my all-time, if not most precious memory in my gymnastics career was that first World Championships, even more than the Olympics. I know that's
Wow.
gonna. It was sweet. It was when you're living your dream. Because I'm on the same floor now with those Soviet gymnasts
Right.
that I admired, and these were
Oh yeah. My
Shaposhnikova.
God.
Okay, Nadia was there and for Romania, but Shaposhnikova, Elena Mukina, like these were the most
Legends.
Yes, Nellie Kim,
Love.
all of them, and to be on the same floor with them, I literally couldn't get enough. Like I wanted to do my floor routine because it was such a special floor routine to me. The coming back from the injury
Hmm.
that probably should have ended my career before it started, but I was able to come back. People did not know I was starving myself, that I was still struggling. Like when I look back at the photos, it is kind of alarming. I was so thin. I was so thin, but worse than that, I was hungry too. And my energy was, but I ate just enough to have the energy to get, and I had a phenomenal meet. I ended up eighth in the all around, eighth in the world with the best gymnasts that I had ever seen on
Ever.
the planet.
Hmm.
And to be up there with them and then to qualify for finals because the audience
Yep.
wouldn't accept the score
The
that I
low
was.
score that you was given. Hmm.
So I followed Nadia, who was not at her best. Nadia was struggling. Like after 76, 1977, 1978 were hard for Nadia. So she was not at her best there. She still was Nadia. She was still phenomenal, but it was not the Nadia of 76 there. So her floor routine did not have the difficulty. It didn't. I mean, and she wasn't in her top shape. So I followed her in the all-around competition, all-around finals. And because we were back to back and she got a 9.85, I think, and then they went 9.8 for me. So, or 9.75. I think they went 9.75. I'm not good at remembering the numbers. And then the audience just started whistling
Hmm.
and wouldn't stop. And we're on live, ABC Wide World of Sports. That was back, like it was live, and they have to go to other events that were happening around. Like, so they would go back and they'd come back and they're like, well, the audience is still, it was like 17 or 18 minutes that they would not stop whistling, which was their version of booing.
Right.
Hmm.
And then just so people understand the backstory too, 1978 World Championship was the first competition that that Israel competed in after the massacre.
Mm.
Okay, so you're talking 5 years. That's a very short period of time. So they were in our rotation. We trained with them, literally men with machine guns. Okay,
Wow.
just today's AK-47. Like we're standing there at our practices. Okay, so I have that big memory. Well, because of this, the guards came up and were standing near me. And I'm like, why, as they're booing, and I'm looking at it, I was like, I can't do anything. I didn't tell them to do this. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, what am I supposed to do? And they weren't asking me to do anything, but I didn't know that. They're just standing there, they look like police officers standing
Yeah.
Hmm.
with me, like trying to get me to do something. And then next thing I know, my teammate goes, she starts clapping, and I turn around, she points, they've raised my number again,
Aw.
raised my score to 9.9. And I was like, that was what I did on TV. I went, what? What? Can they do that? Like, what did they literally all gathered around a camera? All the judges gathered around a camera. One of our judges was Greta Treber, who I don't think she was judging that bad. Sorry.
No, you're good.
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
She was over there, you know, like you look. So they looked back at the routine. That was like the instant replay. Phineas, hush. And raise the score. And then flash forward to event finals, because I qualified for event finals. And I was probably like in, I don't know, 6. I probably qualified in 6, 7. They took 8. I was just thrilled, you know.
Yeah.
The floor exercise. So after I competed, and the audience was just like, I can't tell you how special this audience was to me, for whatever reason. My routine spoke to them, and they fell in love with me, and they demanded that they raise my score, which they did. But anyways, at finals, they were for the first time ever, I didn't even know I'd seen other gymnasts do it. They wouldn't stop clapping. So I jumped back up on the podium to just wave, you know, because that's what others did. And I didn't have the nerve to do that, you know, like they did, but I'm not doing that. Yes. You know, so I was like, okay. So I walked back up there. Will I get a deduction? Like, I don't know. Are you allowed?
Right.
I don't know. Then they know Nellie Kim and Elena Mukina. They knew before I did where to go to get your medals, because I didn't know I did not know I was in third. And that, because for a while I was in third by myself, and everybody was so excited. And you saw the cameras on me, Wide World of Sports, and I'm marching out doing my march that everybody not made fun of. I was known for my march. I looked back over my shoulder and saw the board. I was like, oh my God, I'm third. I'm like, I won a medal. And so I keep marching, and Elena and Nellie were right there, and they go, and they're like trying to get me to come join them. And I go, come to go, because we weren't supposed to march out. We had to stay and go up on the podium. Well, as we're all gathered, there's more huddling and talking and more stuff with the judges. The next thing I know, there's a tie for third. Eberly.
I remember I've watched this. Yeah, we watched this. Yes.
So they raised her score 0.025, which isn't even illegal. Like nobody filed a formal protest, because you don't raise a score by 0.5. But they knew better. They're like, you cannot make her pass her. Like, will not be happy. Anyways, so now I'm standing there, and this part was the sad part. I didn't think I was supposed to be there.
Aww.
So there, and I just thought, oh no, I like, there's 4 of us here, and get up, and I'm standing there, get up on the floor. And I'm still worried. They're not going to call my name. They're not going to call my name. I'm just going to have to walk off the floor. And this is going to be so embarrassing. Like I didn't want to be there. And then meanwhile, Nellie and Elena, they're going, jab, 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 jab. They're talking to each other. Like, they know what's happened, you know? And Amelia just keeps looking at me. And I look over here and I smile. I'm like, I'm happy. I don't care. Like, I'm thrilled. I don't care how many of us are here, but I think I'm the one that's not supposed to be here. And then they called my name. And so it was such a precious memory. To answer your question, one of my favorite of my entire career was that World Championships. And thank goodness, because my world crashed after that.
That's the next question. That's the next question. The next question is, what was the thought process leading up into 1980 when y'all first start hearing about the possibility of a boycott? And like you just barely, well, you just missed out on the 1976 Olympic team. So now you're thinking 80, this is my shot. This is my shot. I have movement, I have medals, I'm national champion, I've won all of these things. This is my opportunity.
Yeah.
And they just take it away. What was that
Yeah.
like?
So weirdly, I think for me, 'cause when I said my world crashed, it wasn't because of 1980. It was
Mm,
1979 World Championships in Fort Worth, Texas, which should have been a phenomenal World Championships for the U.S. Our team was fantastic.
hmm
Go back and look at Rhonda Schwant, one of the most talented gymnasts, and Marsha was on this team. So
Marsha Fredericks.
Rhonda Schwant, Leslie Piper, like we had such great gymnasts. Tracy Talavera and Julianne were not on the scene yet. They were not there. Okay.
No.
They could have been. They were too young. So Julianne was at our 79 World Championship training camp to show the 80 compulsories. Okay. She could do the compulsory bar routine like I did the following year for balance beam. You know, they were planning ahead, and Tracy made the team, but she's 12 or 13, like, you know, so she's too young to be on that team. But that was to come. 1980, we were priming for 1980 and 79 in the US, Fort Worth, Texas. We should have been phenomenal. Rhonda Schwant went down with a knee injury. Out. Almost this, like it was the same week in training, I hyperextend my knee, doing handspring front step out through the double full. And we were doing back-to-back routines to get just endurance. So I was pushing hard and I hyperextended again, no spring floors, nothing. It's my middle pass. I go down. I have to go see the doctor. It's not swollen or anything, but I heard, like, I knew this is like, no, this isn't good. I drive myself to the doctor in my 7 Volkswagen stick shift.
Please.
It was my right knee, so it wasn't clutch or brake. It was the gas. It was the gas, so I could drive. But that's what you did back then, 1979. Thank goodness the coach or the surgeon there was a phenomenal doctor. He was the Chicago Bears doctor, orthopedic surgeon. And so he examines it. He goes, it's pretty stable. So it's not ACL. It's not anything like that. So I was like, okay. He says, but there's fluid in there. And I go, really? It doesn't even look swollen. And he like rubs it and he pushes, and all of a sudden this big thing goes out. I was like, whoa, that's not good. He goes, well, we'll just take that. We'll get that. It brings this big old needle. So
my God.
Oh. And he says, he's kind of talking to himself, but out loud for me to hear. He says, so we're good if it's just clear. So it's just fluid, you know, we can just, he says, if there's blood in there, then, you know, something's torn, like, obviously. Yeah. So I'm like, please be fluid. Please be fluid. And he's like, down. I like glance down, bright red coming out. Like, that's not. He says, well, he says, we got a choice here. He says, if you were on the Bears, you'd already be in the operating room. I go,
right.
Like pads and all. You just, like, because you got to be back and playing. So I had surgery. It's like 5 weeks before World Championships, 5-6 weeks before World Championships. And I have essentially what the ligament and the meniscus, he says, not torn all the way through, just sort of like if you would chop into a piece of wood or into a cord and part of it, but still there's enough there for stability. I just have to clean it up, shave it up, and then we've got to do serious rehab. But you're talking, like, I didn't do gymnastics for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know.
Oh, hell.
And try, you know, and And here's the sad part. So my move to Chicago to train with Bill Sands had been like I had learned pike full in, soup full, pike double back off beam, all this. Like I was stepping up. Like 79 should have been a phenomenal world championships. Now we got to figure this out. Like what of that can I do? Pike full in went out. Like there was no way that I was getting that back in. So, and soup full, probably not. I was trying to do pike double back off beam though. I was doing that, but I get to training camp, and here's the unfortunate thing: when the United States gymnastics program was at that stage of really trying to figure things out, like how do we compete? How do we compete with the best in the world? So we really started with this push, a hard push. Looking back, we probably started it a little too far out, tried to sustain it for too long, but also took this phenomenal group of athletes, because this should have been a great team. We could have medaled, absolutely. We pushed, we got our compulsories up to a level where, because we wanted top 4. We wanted to be on the floor for finals with the top 4 teams in the world and have a shot. Guess what we did? We placed 4th after compulsory. So we were there. The problem is, this was kind of a silly mistake that we made. Our draw was bad. We got we had to compete in round 1, session 1 at the World Championships in our own country. It's like 8 a.m.
Oh,
okay?
no.
It's a terrible thing to do, but you can do it. It's compulsory.
Yeah.
You can do it. You know what we did this is when you let perfect be the enemy of good. Instead of saying it's one day.
Yeah.
It's one day. We can get up early one day and get through it and be fine. For 2 weeks, we trained at 5 a.m. in the morning. Tried to go to bed early, tried to change our whole schedule to go to bed really early. And this was coming off of 2-a-day training the hardest training any of us had ever done. And I think people were exhausted. We got overcooked, and then we got tired. Then we had a phenomenal compulsory meet. But guess when finals are?
What
Now that
time?
we're on
8 a.m.
No, finals for the big meet, it's in the evening.
Oh, because you guys are in the top 4. So you guys are in the last rotation. So y'all never trained for the evening
We were
session.
asleep by the time the meet started. We were on the schedule.
Oh.
Getting up, like we couldn't sleep past 4 a.m. 3, 4, like because we were getting up to be ready, like fed out the door and training at 5 a.m. So now we're just, so honestly, we were cooked, we were fried, the wheels came off the bus. We had a disastrous, and sadly, and he has since apologized. I stress this. Our coach was so frustrated and so upset. Like he laid into me. I was the captain of the team, and it was just a mess. And that night, literally, I was up till midnight with him. My dad went up to the room and my dad was upset. It was like, "Are you going to defend yourself?" And I just broke. I unfortunately just broke. Still had all around finals, and I made 2 finals. Newsflash, I made vault finals.
Wow.
Kathy Johnson, vault finals. I was in vault and floor.
Slay.
So I was in vault and floor finals. Floor would have been great. Vault, I don't even know what I would have done for my second, because you had to do 2 different.
I was just about to ask, did you even have a second vault? Or
had I not had knee surgery, I had a suit full and a layout suit. And you could.
Okay.
I could have. And I was working pike cuervos at the time. But that all went, like I was lucky I could do I could do a good layout sook. I did it well enough to get in the event finals, which was kind of crazy. I had to get
That's
some
crazy.
ball. But I got sick, worn down, and ended up having to scratch all around finals. And I was kind of dead inside too. But I didn't want to, I wanted to give my spot away. I didn't, because Nadia did the same thing. You may remember in 1979.
With the hand injury. Oh, surgery. Yeah.
Do you remember what she did so she could compete in beam for the team and beam finals? She went and touched every event in the all around and got a 0.6.
Oh, because she couldn't scratch. Because if she scratched, then they would have scratched her out of the event finals.
Which is what happened to me. So I gave up my spot. I wanted Marcia. So Marcia warmed up last minute because we scratched in warm-ups. The doctor just said, like, she can't go. She can't go. He stepped in and stood up to the coaches and said, no, she can't go. So Marcia competed all around. But then even though I would have been fine, I didn't get to do, and sadly, I was like 10th or 11th in the all. I was in a good position in all around to go into all around. But I just got like, I got broken. And honestly, I almost left the sport. I almost, it was almost it for me. I got really broken inside. So for 1980, when I made the move, I decided I'm going back to Atlanta, even though I learned so much from Bill Sands and it was it was great for my gymnastics. I needed to go back home where I knew they loved me for me, whether I ever did gymnastics again or not, because I was seriously broken. And so it took me a little while, but it's like I went back home. The young couple, remember, that I lived with in Atlanta, owned a gym. They were coaching. Tom and Bunny Cook. Loved them dearly. Some of my best coaches, and they helped me put the pieces back together. And for 3 years, I made that 1980 Olympic team. So to answer your question, the trials were the Olympic Games for me, because we knew in advance that we were boycotting. One of the few of the Olympians after making the team who was not bitter. I mean, do I wish we had competed? Oh, yes. Absolutely. Would it have been closer to my prime? Oh, yes. Absolutely. It would have been a better time for me to compete in the Olympic Games. Would have been in 1980. But I got to compete 4 more years. I got to go through world championships and have the meet of my life at the 83 world championships because of that boycott. Because had I competed, honestly, would I have continued?
You might have retired.
I mean, I was 21 in 1980. I'd already been through a lot, but to have the Olympic trials that I had, to feel that feeling of not just accomplishment of making an Olympic team, but of really coming back from something that just about finished me and didn't to then get to go on the journey from after 1980 to 84, which was not a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination. I ended up with an injury to my toe, which is now I know it was like turf toe, with an additional fracture. I was out for 9 months. Like literally, I thought, of all things, a shattered, dislocated, broken elbow, knee surgery 6 weeks before the World Championships, and like all of that, and a toe?
A toe.
Are you kidding me? Is this a comedy? I mean, at least say it's a dramedy. Come on.
Right, right, right.
This is ridiculous. And it was messed up. I almost had to have surgery on it. We could not figure out how to get this toe to calm down. I
That's
could not
right.
tumble. I could not vault. I could do bars. I could do beam. They finally cast me because I was supposed to go to World Cup. I was competing after 80, and I was like, really, I did my suit full for the first time at the 80 Olympic trials. I was going to go back and start working, some of the things I'd had before. And then this damn toe, finally, they just said, you have got to shut it down. This is like, it's not only not getting better, like I couldn't walk normally. Do anything. And then finally, when it healed, I made the move from Atlanta, a place I loved, a place that was home. I was coaching. I loved my kids that I coached. I did not want to leave them. But an alarm clock went off in me and said, I'll stay here. I'm going to slide into retirement, probably happily, maybe, probably not.
And you went to Don Peters.
Because, and I'll tell you what I told my kids, the kids I was coaching, because it broke my heart to leave them and try to explain to them why would I leave a place I love, where I was loved, where I had phenomenal coaches, but I was really the only elite there. Like there were others trying elite, but nobody. I needed to be pushed.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to be pushed. And I needed, sometimes stress is not a bad thing.
No,
and I understand.